Banned, infected, now bereaved. Embattled Asanoyama has been struck with the cruel blow of his father's sudden death. Yasushi Ishibashi, who was 64, succumbed to an acute edema of the lungs on August the 16th. It's just 17 months since Yasushi drew such attention with that passionate open letter to his son in honor of the Ozeki promotion. Only recently was he instrumental in Asanoyama's decision to fight on despite demotion to Division 4, and tragically dies not knowing if his boy's public image will ever be restored. Asanoyama, already robbed of two father figures, a high school coach in his 40s and a university coach in his 50s, put real substance behind his latest pledge to be rock steady each and every day, when quizzed after his recent medical. My goodness, his driving force needs an outlet. The man he can never seem to beat, Terunofuji, has been reflecting on his first yokozuna ceremony, jokingly marked by his coach as 67 out of 100, as it seemed a tad rushed. Today brought home anew the need to try even harder and have a yet greater sense of responsibility than before, Teru said just after the event. It's a shame there were no fans here, but that can't be helped given the situation. But I'm actually grateful to still have had the chance to do this ceremony, and hope, from now on, to bring cheer to people bit by bit. The happiest thing about today was being flanked by two stablemates who've constantly boosted my morale, and vice versa. He referred, of course, to sword-bearer Takayasu, who said the event symbolized how great effort can be rewarded, and dew sweeper Terutsuyoshi, who felt inspired to perform better himself in September. Teru added, "Unfortunately, our new aprons couldn't be made on time, so we borrowed 3 from the master. But these were also worn by Harumafuji, so that really enhanced the yokozuna feeling." Away from the ring, he's attracted praise for his singing skills, featured in Sumo's latest round of recording studio videos. However, the timing of his video raised eyebrows. At the very moment Sumo was firing Takagenji in the name of a drug-free image, it promoted Teru's glorification of Yutaka Ozaki, who took way more drugs than Takagenji. This video might have been better released at a different time. Now, Takayasu fans, my apologies. His training report from Tuesday came in much later than all the others, and it was a shame I couldn't include it in yesterday's piece because it was a glowing one. 10 interstable bouts with Takanosho and Onosho, and 10 wins. I want to develop my dohyo sense by mixing it with opponents of different styles, he said, and I want to further build up my power. Takayasu, however, was never going to be the focus of attention today. We'd been worried about the lack of news from him, which had eerie echoes of his no-show last September, but Yokozuna Hakuho did show for Interstable Day 3, and, despite not fighting bouts, put Takanosho and 2nd Division man Kaisho through some nightmare charging sessions. I like to join these things once my body's fully ready, and the rankings chart isn't out yet, he said of his preference to train intensively in the week after the release of the chart. And asked whether the right knee he injured in March is still troubling him, he said, "It has good days and bad days." Hakuho then began listing all the yokozuna he's outlasted when addressing Terunofuji's promotion, saying, "It's amazing what the man has done to fight all the way back up from Division 5. It looks like I've got a new rival now, and I am fired up to do my best." That's easily said, but what he does tomorrow will surely better indicate his plans for September. He will either jump into practice bouts and leave bodies strewn about the floor, or continue sticking with core exercises. Remember, the great man has not completed successive tournaments since 2017. And when journalists tried to ask him about his latest dressing down by the Yokozuna Council, the Sumo press office, terrified of the next storm he might create, shut them down before he said a word. Of the men lucky enough to practice with him today, Kaisho said, "I charged into him before the pandemic, and I can tell you, nothing's changed. His body is just so resilient, I almost couldn't move him. And the way that he softens himself up at the rope to absorb my power and stay in is just so unique. A wonderful opportunity." The unexpected 2nd Division star of July also fought a whopping 44 practice bouts, 24 against 3rd Divisioners and 20 against his fellow salaried men. Takanosho, meanwhile, after wiping down his filthy back, said, "It's not every day you can learn from a yokozuna, and it was a really valuable chance for me. He was telling me to not only use my right, but attack more with my left." That observation was perhaps silently made in their memorable recent meeting, nigh certain to be recontested in September. Takanosho also fought the most bouts of the 12 salaried men present this morning, finishing his session 12-12. Of those, 9 in a row were contested with Onosho, who was overjoyed to hear Hakuho's advice on how to end his run of recent losing scores. "The yokozuna was addressing the issues with which I myself have been struggling, and it was great to hear his thoughts on how I'm charging and what I could be doing better," the Maegashira said. Building up future stars is all part of an aging yokozuna's role. Let's see what Hakuho can teach them and us on the final day of Interstable tomorrow.